What's up, y'all? I was like, is this even recording? I have no idea. Um, I had no intentions on following up anything that I've posted recently, but I have an unusual amount of really long DMs. Um, with people still very much, going hard for Dave Chappelle. I think we really struggle with managing the reality that our favorite people are trash in some ways. I think we really struggle with it. And again, we struggle with it because then we have to acknowledge our own complicity. And one of the hardest things for all of us to do is to acknowledge our own complicity. Here's the deal. And I'm going to tell you in advance, I didn't watch it. I'm not watching it. I'm not watching someone spend 35 minutes talking about gay and trans people. And here's why I'm not spending 35 minutes watching white people, Dave Chappelle talk about gay and trans people, is because back in 1982, Patricia Bell Scott and Barbara Smith and Akasha Gloria Hull edited a book called All the Women Are White, All the Blacks Are Men, but Some of Us Are Brave. It is a feminist anthology in the early 80s that spoke to the exact issue that is the problem with Dave Chappelle's analysis. His that somewhere in his analysis, and I spoke to this already, his analysis is as long as his identity, as long as his experience, right? And he can't actually see beyond his lived experience. And so consequently, he can't wrap his brain around the fact that gay and trans people are Black, that there are queer Black people, that there are LGBTQ Black people. And his analysis and his complaint about the LGBTQ community erases an entire segment of Black identity. And so you can't sit up in here and critique whatever it is you call yourself critiquing around transness and make, as if transness only exists for Caitlyn Jenner. Like, to center white people in the conversation of queerness and trans identity is as anti-Black as it is transphobic. That's anti-Blackness. Anti-Blackness is also the inability to see the full range and scope and breadth and depth of Black identity and to cape for all of it. And if Dave Chappelle's Blackness and Black analysis doesn't have room for my queer ass, doesn't have room for my trans friends, doesn't have room for my intersex friends, then it's some anti-Black ass shit. If your analysis, this is for Black people, if your analysis about any other marginalized group doesn't account for the fact that there are Black people in that marginalized group, your analysis is anti-Black. Because you can't just be for some Black people and call yourself for Black people. You can't just be for straight Black people and call yourself for Black people. You can't just be for able-bodied Black people and call yourself for Black people. So here's an invitation to look at where anti-Blackness lives in you. And it lives in the erasure of the experiences of Black, queer, trans, disabled, fat, aging, intersexed human beings. And Dave Chappelle seems to think that the only Black people are men and the only queer people are white. But some of us are indeed brave.